About a year ago on this channel, I made a video exposing Lee and Oliver Barrett for trying to pass off some traditional Chinese medicine called Lianhua Qingwen as a treatment for COVID-19. If you don't know who the Barretts are, they are a father and son British expats living in China. They have a YouTube channel where they post videos designed to push a pro-Beijing message, where they make puff pieces aimed at pushing the CCP's propaganda to an international audience. I have covered them on this channel numerous times in the past, and some of my videos were a little bit more lighthearted and some took a more serious tone. Their links to the Chinese government have also been exposed by more notable YouTubers and mainstream media, so this accusation of them being CCP shills is nothing new. As I previously stated, the Barretts tried to pass off traditional Chinese medicine as a treatment for COVID-19 to their Chinese audience, and I find this difficult to understand as to what was going through their heads when they accepted this assignment. Their blatant CCP propaganda is quite obvious and actually quite amusing. They clearly don't have a clue about China, as is evident from the things that they say and do in their videos.
You would think that every swastika is a bad swastika? Well, swastikas in a lot of religions are used in a positive way. It's like a good luck thing.
I looked at that, I was like, oh, yeah. And then I've just been educated. Look, this is a typical thing in China, to have sort of a hard table that is a tea table, and they sort of serve up the Chinese tea. Tea is a massive thing here. I didn't really realise that until I came here. Massive thing. The British are known to be tea drinkers, but
although I don't speak a lot of Chinese, I've had some real fun times with Chinese people, you know, and we both understand it. You know, it's amazing how far body language and gestures can take you without even having to speak each other's language.
I can accept that some people will just do these stupid things for a little bit of money, as money is something that we all need, and if it's easy to make that money, then even better, right? I definitely don't agree with pushing an evil dictatorship's propaganda to make that easy money, but I can see why some people might be persuaded to do so. What I do take exception to, however, is when their money-making schemes can actually put innocent people's lives in danger. And when I see this, it instantly becomes my moral obligation to point that out. Trying to mislead people by giving false information and trying to pass this snake oil off as a treatment for COVID-19 during the initial outbreak of the virus is definitely something that needs to be pointed out. Take a look at their original video for this snake oil and tell me this isn't trying to mislead people into believing that this TCM can be used to treat COVID-19.
Now I'm here today to tell you about Lianhua Qingwen capsules. These are commonly used to treat influenza and colds, but they've also proven very effective to treat COVID-19.
This was one of the first medicines to be approved here in China for treatment of mild and moderate symptoms of COVID-19.
During the initial outbreak of coronavirus, these were used to treat nearly 100 million people around the globe.
The results of a clinical trial published in Phytomedicine, a European journal, showed that in the treatment of COVID-19, symptoms were reduced by over 90%.
So there you have it. That's exactly why you should be picking up Lianhua Qingwen capsules to stay safe.
So you heard it there from the Barretts. Pick up that Lianhua Qingwen to stay safe. Unbelievable. So in my original video I made to expose this dastardly act by the Barretts, I presented evidence to prove that this so-called medicine was not even effective against the common cold. I showed how low the Barretts were for even mentioning this snake oil in the same sentence as COVID-19 and trying to prey on scared, vulnerable people to make a fast buck. I mentioned how this medicine had not even been approved by the American Food and Drug Administration, FDA, and here is more proof of that. A website hosted in the US called lianhuaqingwencaps.com was recently reviewed by the FDA. This website was attempting to sell Lianhua Qingwen capsules and touting it as a way to mitigate, prevent, treat, diagnose, or cure COVID-19. the FDA gave the website 48 hours to correct these unlawful violations because the drug is an unproved new drug and the website was misleading people into thinking that it can help with the treatment of COVID-19. Kind of similar to what the Barretts were doing with their little commercial, right? The website has since been taken down and it's disappeared. It should also be noted that recently the Chinese embassy in New Zealand put out a warning to Chinese people living there that this drug is prohibited for use in New Zealand and that Chinese people have been found carrying the prohibited Lianhua Qingwen capsules. It seems that this drug has met the same scrutiny on a global scale and is definitely not fit to treat anything, especially COVID-19. I also pointed out in my video that Barrett would try to sell anything if it meant an easy payday, and I presented evidence for this. For example, the Warrior 64. A piece of crap Nintendo 64 knockoff that got terrible reviews by online gamers.
And as you can see, using the Warrior 64 with the RGB signal, you have a much sharper picture with much brighter colour than your original N64, which only had an RF output.
In this clip from a live stream that they deleted from their channel, Barrett himself even admitted that both he and his son push products that they know little or nothing about.
And what they also did after that speech, they got a number of sort of products and businesses then. It was like, oh, just hold this and say that you endorse this product kind of thing. And you know, they got Ollie doing a few of these where they wanted to sort of endorse products that we'd literally seen 5 minutes ago and didn't know nothing about. And that's not to say those products were bad in any way, but we just didn't really know anything about them.
Regarding the Lianhua Qingwen commercial, Barrett kept pretty quiet about the whole thing. He'd obviously seen my video exposing him, and he knows exactly who I am, but for the longest time, he never really addressed it and went along pretending that I don't exist. So I've never really had much dealing with Barrett until he recently made this tweet about his beloved Lianhua Qingwen capsules. Let's take a look at what he said. Wow, these are the capsules they made an ad for during the first outbreak. Look at how he tries to worm his way out by acknowledging that they are not FDA approved. That obviously didn't matter to him when he tried to sell them to his Chinese audience. Of course he has to bring in Serpent ZA and Laowai 86, which is something that they always do.
Serpent ZA and Laowai 86. Serpent ZA and Laowai 86.
Serpent ZA.
In his tweet, he highlights that he said it as he only recommended it for treatment of COVID symptoms. But if you watch their actual video, this is absolute rubbish.
But they've also proven very effective to treat COVID-19.
Showed that in the treatment of COVID-19, symptoms were reduced by over 90%.
When I replied to him, I was trying to be a little bit funny at first because I've never really had a response from this guy in the past, and I was a little bit shocked when he actually responded to me. Of course, he immediately started trying to call me petty, pathetic, juvenile names like an imbecile, which is quite funny coming from him.
Giddy up, us!
Yeah! He carried on trying to deny that he recommended it as a treatment for COVID. I mean, didn't he hear what he and his son said in the video?
But they've also proven very effective to treat COVID-19. But they've also proven very effective to treat COVID-19.
I rightly pointed out to Barrett that it's misleading people by even mentioning COVID-19 in his advert. Why not just say it can help with a runny nose or a headache or a cough or something like that? Why even mention the word COVID and Lianhua Qingwen in the same sentence? He's misleading people by saying it can help with symptoms because it hasn't even been proven effective against COVID symptoms. And the study that he cites in his commercial is absolute garbage, which I'll show you later on in this video. So this guy's favorite river is denial, and he's swimming in it. Eventually, I got fed up with Barrett and just directly quoted his video, and guess what? He didn't respond. He knows that he's wrong, but it would be nice for once if he could just admit that and move on, but instead, no, he has to be his usual narcissistic I'm never wrong self and not admit to doing anything wrong. So now let me give you some of my own evidence that I've recently come across to demonstrate how utterly crap Barrett's snake oil is. In my original video about this, I was very critical of the article written in the scientific journal Phytomedicine, and rightly so, but I never really did my due diligence, which I intend to do in this video. This paper published in the Dutch scientific journal talked about the effectiveness of the snake oil with little or no evidence, and it turns out that the authors of this article, Zhongnan Shan and his friend Jia Jianhua, have a deep connection to the company that actually produces the snake oil. So who are these guys? Well, Zhongnan Shan is one of the Chinese government's top health officials, and his buddy Jia Jianhua is the son-in-law of none other than the founder of Shijiazhuang Yiling Pharmaceutical Company. Shijiazhuang Yiling is the company that produces Barrett's snake oil medicine Lianhua Qingwen. So the two guys who wrote the paper have deep ties with the Lianhua Qingwen capsules. You could say that both of them have a vested interest to make sure that this medicine is sold. Obviously, the son-in-law of the owner of the company definitely has a special interest to make sure this medicine is sold. But what is Zhongnan Shan's game? Well, the billionaire owner of this pharmaceutical company donated 130,000 RMB to the Zhongnan Shan Medical Foundation in 2013, and Zhong and Shijiazhuang Yiling signed a strategic cooperation agreement to research the benefits of Lianhua Qingwen 2 years later. They never disclosed their ties with this company to this scientific journal Phytomedicine, which smells a little bit fishy to me. Doesn't it smell a little bit suspicious to you guys? In fact, their research has never actually been proven true, and the fact that they have a financial stake in the findings of this study means that they could write almost anything to make sure that this medicine gets sold. I would encourage you all to read this very interesting article citing everything that I've just mentioned. It was published in the Financial Times, and I'll leave a link to the article in this video's description. Definitely worth a read. Anyway, let's wrap this video up. So, as we can see by this evidence, Barrett is a liar, a swindler, and is nothing more than a good-for-nothing cheap con man. He tried to pass this snake oil off as a treatment for COVID, and he thought that he could get away with it. He thinks he's being clever by tweeting that he knows it isn't approved by the FDA, and therefore can't be sold in the West, but he is perfectly fine with trying to sell this crap to his Chinese audience. He knows that if he tried to promote this crap in the UK, he could get into some serious trouble. Now that he's going back to the UK, I think that this video is very important, and I think that people should really know what this guy has been up to in China, and I would encourage all of you to share this video and spread the word around about this shill. This shill has been busted.
Leave Barrett alone. Just leave him alone.